Mueller, She Wrote is brought to you by our generous patrons. You can join them and help support women in podcasting for as little as $1 per month. And in return, you'll get access to bonus content, our weekly newsletter, and my show notes. Plus, this week we are introducing bonus episodes that are only available to subscribers. You also won't have to listen to ads like this one. All of that for as little as $1 per month. So please support us by visiting MuellerSheWrote.com and clicking subscribe now. We are truly thankful for your support. Would you like to advertise your business on our podcast? You can reach thousands of amazing like-minded Muellerites. Just email us at hello@MuellerSheWrote.com. This podcast may contain laughter.
So to be clear, Mr. Trump has no financial relationships with any Russian oligarchs.
That's what he said. That's what I said. That's obviously what our position is.
I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I did not have communications with the Russians.
What do I have to get involved with Putin for? I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him. I don't know anything about him other than he will respect me. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
So, it is political. You're a communist.
No, Mr. Green. Communism is just a red herring. Like all members of the oldest profession, I'm a capitalist.
Hello, welcome to Mueller, She Wrote. I wanted to take a moment and thank you all so much for all your comments and supports and likes and donations. We're so humbled by your interest and support. We love your feedback. So thank you so much for that, you guys. I'm AG, your mystery host. I work high up in the executive branch of the government, so I must keep my name out of my politics, though I'm sure most of you have figured out who I am. With me, as always, is Jaleesa Johnson.
Hey, what's up?
I'm Jordan Coburn.
Hello.
I switched it up this week.
You did.
I went Jaleesa first. I just want you to know I can be flexible.
Oh.
This week
on your toes.
I'm just going to take you on a wild ride. That's how I party. So this week, Jordan's going to be covering a story about a Russian model and sex coach.
Potentially very crazy.
Sex coach. She's the one that took the Navalny video we talked about, showing Deripaska relaying Manafort's campaign briefing to a Kremlin official on a yacht, on a boat. And Jaleesa has a report on Joseph Mifsud. I think it's Mifsud.
Mifsud. Yeah, I would get
Mifsud. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oops.
It's all good.
Sorry to disappoint that guy who thought I was a genius. Anyway, he's the Russian professor that told Papadop about the Russian dirt on HRC. You know, the info he got drunk and bragged about to the Australian intelligence officer in the London pub. Well, weird things are going on with the professor, and Jaleesa will cover it for us. And
yes.
Oh, Papadop.
Papa, I like it when you call me Big Papa.
He's my favorite.
I'll be chatting this week about Mueller witnesses that seem to be leaking all over the place. That sounds gross, but it's not. We will also have 2 bonus episodes this week, Wednesday and Friday. So look for reports on a big reveal in the Dem memo that could implicate Trump campaign aides in criminal conspiracy, and then also a special report on NRA ties to Trump and Russia. Mm-hmm. Look for those this week. And if you're looking at you see these little episodes that are up there and they got little locks on them, it's because you have to subscribe to get a hold of them. So check that out. This week has been pretty much nuts, so let's get right to it. Maybe we can blow through this crazy week pretty fast. I'm not sure, but let's get to it with just the facts. Okay, so on Sunday, we found out more about cock. Remember from last week, one of the Manafort indictments taught us that Manafort received a big loan from a tiny bank in Chicago that was possibly payback for Manafort getting the CEO of the bank a job as Secretary of the Army, and that guy's name was Cock. I like to call it the Manafort cock job. Well, it turns out that Cock's wife filed for divorce in Chicago a while ago, and in that divorce proceeding, her lawyers asked First Republic Bank to turn over all documents pertaining to the Manafort loan. Cock's attorney tried to block the release of these documents, so a cock block, a cock doc block. We don't know if the cock block worked, but those records could become public because they were used in a divorce proceeding. So that's hilarious. You'll find a link to that article in the newsletter.
I wonder what she cited as a reason for splitting.
I don't know.
What's it called? Irreconcilable
Irreconcilable.
cock
differences. Yeah.
He's a cock. There was a lot of news on Sunday about the Dem memo, and we have a whole bonus episode dedicated to it up right now for your listening pleasure. That one's free, so check that out. You can check that one out for free. On Monday, Republicans in the House Intel Committee drew a red line to say that the committee will not consider Trump's finances, which is cute. Probably because they have payouts to them in there. But
That makes sense.
and this is nuts. On Monday, you guys, Rick Perry canceled his trip to India. Rick Perry is the Secretary of Energy. He was the governor of Texas. He was on Dancing with the Stars.
Awful person overall, I'd
He's
say.
just an idiot. He canceled his trip to India to head to Saudi Arabia to open up talks about building nuclear reactors in the region. And that's crazy because
Called it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we called it. That's the Marshall Plan, you guys. Do you remember? I mean, we've had so many stories on this about Flynn texting Copson, his business partner, on the dais during the inauguration saying that sanctions are going to be ripped up and we can move forward with the Marshall Plan. And Copson is saying, great, because we're going to have to build, military bases to guard them, and then we can recolonize the Middle East, like all that crazy stuff. And they need to partner with Russian oil, Rosneft, and the UAE, who set up the Seychelles meeting with Rick Prince. Like, they're all connected in there.
Yeah.
And now he's going to meet with Saudi Arabia to talk nuclear reactors. Okay. Saudi Arabia comes up a little bit later in the pod, too, so keep an eye on that. Early Tuesday, Trump sent out a series of tweets about Russia. No surprise, it's gotten under his skin that morning because Hope Hicks testified behind closed doors to the HIC, the House Intelligence Committee. And much like Lewandowski and Bannon, she refused to answer questions about her time in the White House, especially her role in crafting a statement on Air Force One about the nature of the June 2016 meeting. She was part of that, what are we going to say, whole meeting and then subsequent follow-up conference calls. So she was claiming in the House Intelligence Committee some sort of privilege.
They're just making up privilege.
Like white privilege? Like, what are you talking about?
What does she think she's going to answer questions about, or what do they ask them to come in? It's her job. She's the communications director. That's
Well, and as always, I'm wondering if she's gagged, and not in like a fun Porter way,
right.
or a Lewandowski way, more like a legal way by Mueller. This is just this is
hope so.
Not fact. This is just conjecture.
Right.
I think Bannon and Hicks and Lewandowski have been told not to talk to Congress because their testimony will get back to the White House, and Mueller doesn't want Trump to have that upper hand, or not even an upper hand, but any hand.
It'd be smart.
So, anyway, she did also admit in that question and answer session that she asks Trump, or Trump asks her to lie for him, and that she's told lies. So that's funny.
She admits that she told lies.
Yep.
Yeah.
White lies.
White lies.
White
yeah,
lies
I heard
matter.
the white lies.
Because she's white. No, I don't, she said she lies for the president.
Yeah.
Now, contextually, she says nothing important. Like if he doesn't want to be disturbed, I say he's not there or whatever. But
does this suit make me look fat, Hope?
yes. But
Always.
Trump was pretty mad about that. Also, the U.S. Cyber Chief Admiral Mike Rogers said Tuesday morning in the Senate Armed Services Committee that Russians have not paid a price for meddling, nor has he been instructed by the president to do anything to prevent meddling in 2018. So we are currently under attack, and our president is pretty much letting it happen.
He's leading it. Yeah.
Also, side note, I saw he's up in polls, and it is expected he will win re-election.
I don't know. What poll is that?
Stripper poll.
The one from my ass.
Well, because I
read it somewhere in a headline. I forget what it was.
His approval rating dropped again to 35.
Ah, fantastic.
Also on Tuesday, Trump hired his campaign chief for his 2020 re-election campaign. A bit early, sure, but Trump filed to run for president in 2020, the day after he was inaugurated.
Right.
Because it allows him to use donor money to pay for all the banquet spaces and parties at his own properties, and he pockets that money. So the interesting part is the person he picked to head up his 2020 campaign, Brad Parscale. And if that sounds familiar, it should, because I added him to my indictment fantasy team last week. Fantasy Indictment League list, his name is closely associated with none other than Rick Gates, who just signed a crazy cooperation agreement with Mueller and is telling the special counsel everything.
Hey, kid, I want you to spill your guts. Tell us everything. Everything.
Everything. Okay, I'll talk. In 3rd grade, I cheated on my history exam. In 4th grade, I stole my Uncle Max's toupee and I glued it on my face when I played Moses in my Hebrew school play. In 5th grade, I knocked my sister Edie down the stairs and I blamed it on the dog.
So Gates and Parscale worked on the digital front of the Trump campaign in 2016, and I'd be surprised if there wasn't any knowledge of the Russian Facebook and Twitter campaigns, and there's no way Gates isn't going to turn him in.
Right.
Gates faces like 7 to 10 years in jail immediately if he doesn't fully cooperate. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that guy, but he's on my fantasy indictment.
I can't believe he picked him. You'd think he'd just try, just a little bit.
He doesn't know anyone,
Just step
right?
back, just pull back, just for a second.
People can do a lot from prison.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
So true.
BuzzFeed and Raw Story did some reporting on Tuesday about the professor that told Papadop about the email dirt on HRC during one of his trips to Russia. Jaleesa, you're going to go over that a bit later for us in the show. Also on Tuesday, as we predicted, Kushner lost his security clearance.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Howard radio clearance, over. That's Clarence, over.
Over.
Roger.
Huh? Roger, over.
What? Hey? Who?
His top secret was downgraded to secret, so he won't be able to do his job. Like, oh no, who's going to solve peace in the Middle East?
Yeah, this is foreign policy.
So now Kelly and McMaster will either have to remove him and resign, or Trump will let Kush stay and Kelly or McMaster will leave. And we learned later that McMaster is actually leaving the White House. Yep. So I was right, and then I was right.
Jesus. I didn't hear that yet.
Yeah. He's he's expected to resign and should be leaving by the end of the month.
God damn.
It's a record for Trump, too. He must be proud. He has the most, departures from a White House in the first term ever. Right?
What's McMaster's reason?
Probably because of the security clearances.
Irreconcilable differences.
Yeah.
Everything could be pinned to that, right? There was further reporting on Kushner that came out from the Washington Post on Tuesday that U.S. intelligence intercepted communications from 4 countries saying Kushner is an easy target. Basically, he's a bitch. And this makes me wonder if Kush wasn't giving intel to these countries, including China, United Arab Emirates, Mexico, and Israel, to pay off his crazy debts on his 666 property, just like Manafort was giving campaign intel to Deripaska to pay the debt to him. Now, what's funny is I wrote this note on Tuesday. Wait until you hear what happens on Thursday, because we do find out that there are some quid pro quos going on with Kushner and his business dealings, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. CNN also reported Tuesday that Mueller is now asking people about Trump's 2013 and 2014 business dealings in Russia and when Trump told Russia he was interested in running for president. If there is evidence he and Russia had talked about a presidential bid back in 2013, 2014, that would bolster the conspiracy case surrounding the 13 Russians who were indicted. Remember when Trump tweeted, it's 2014, it's dated. I wasn't even running for president then. Mm-hmm. Well, I think Mueller's trying to prove that he was.
Right.
CNN learned this from witnesses who have recently been interviewed by Mueller. I happen to believe that Mueller wouldn't go there unless he knew that this would leak, which means he knew Trump would find out that Mueller's asking these questions that go beyond the red line,
Yeah.
So that says to me that Mueller's pretty much done with this line of questioning. And now he's pretty much tied the conspiracy together. Otherwise, I don't think he'd be letting Trump know. Now, that's theory. That's theory. I feel he would continue to indict on money and tax fraud for now and try to keep Americans' names out of it. But I think he's got the proof he needs to show the Trump campaign conspired with Russians knowingly to affect the outcome of the campaign. We will go in depth on this reporting in one of our bonus episodes this week, so look for that. The Atlantic released a piece about Roger Stone on Tuesday that they had obtained direct messages between WikiLeaks and Stone in October 2016, and that WikiLeaks wanted to keep that communication channel open after the election. Did they know Trump would win? That's weird. Stone testified under oath to the House Intelligence Committee that he never directly communicated with WikiLeaks, so he could be easily indicted now for lying to Congress, which means there's a high probability he lied to the FBI and special counsel about the same thing. The morning after Trump won the election, WikiLeaks sent Stone a message saying, quote, "Happy? We are now more free to communicate." Unquote.
Oh my God.
The morning after Trump won the election.
It's crazy.
That article also shows that Stone communicated directly via Twitter with Guccifer 2.0. Directly. Guccifer. I have posted the articles.
Good Lucifer? Is that what that's short for?
And there's a great timeline of Stone's communications with WikiLeaks in our newsletter, so check that out too. Tuesday, we learned a guy named Josh Raffel, or Raffel, quit the White House. His official title was White House spokesman, but his job was babysitting the president's kids, basically.
Yeah, I never heard of this guy
either. I've never heard of that title.
Yeah, your tax dollars were paying his salary to kind of, I don't know, be a PR.
Just imagine him giving them those little toys where you like move a wooden block around a wire.
Yeah.
I love it.
Here you go, kids. Oh, I just put Kushner and Ivanka in their room and turn on Netflix. Yeah. They love it. Well, I wonder if he quit because he couldn't get clearance. Maybe because you know how Kelly put out that thing, like anyone who doesn't have clearance has to leave. Mm-hmm. By this day, which was February 22nd, or maybe he knows Trump's kids' days are numbered and he doesn't want to have to put out those fires, or I don't know. Maybe he thinks that he could end up the fall guy for some stuff. I'm not sure. Also on Tuesday, NBC News reported that 21 states were targeted by Russian hackers in the 2016 elections, and now 7 were penetrated. Not 5. We thought it was 5. Now it's 7. Those states are Arizona, Alaska, California, Florida, Illinois, Texas, and Wisconsin.
I know those states.
I've heard of those guys. Those wily Wisconsinites. And, you know, it was 80,000 votes in Wisconsin that made the difference. And this mounting evidence is why Trump refuses to acknowledge or do anything about Russian meddling in our elections. He feels like it delegitimizes his election, which it does. Mm-hmm. But it's not like we're going to take it away from him.
Yeah,
but his ego
because it's not possible.
But his ego is so fragile that he doesn't even want to talk about it. So he's just letting them attack us. Okay. So that was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Manafort had an arraignment, and I was all excited they were going to revoke his bail and send him to jail. But they just read his 23 new charges, and he pleaded not guilty to them, holding his line. I'm not sure if he'll flip, as we discussed last week. And this new plea backs me up on that. He, by refusing to plead guilty.
Right.
Another piece of this story is that during the arraignment, the defense asked to push trial to September. It was originally scheduled in May. And Mueller said this, quote, "Just in terms of the trial date, we understand the court's reasoning and the defense counsel has asked for September. That's fine. Just for the record, the government is ready to go to trial and want to go to trial as soon as possible." Unquote.
Okay.
Nice.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so Mueller's prepared.
Got it.
Yeah, a little bit, right? Like, I'm not surprised, but that's still like, just to put that in there, like, we can go whenever.
Wow.
We're good. You want to wait till September? That's fine, but we can do this tomorrow.
That's crazy. I love it.
Trump angry tweeted at Jeff Sessions on Wednesday morning. He says, quote, "Why is AG Jeff Sessions asking the Inspector General to investigate potentially massive FISA abuse? Will take forever, has no prosecutorial power, and already late with reports on Comey, etc. Isn't the IG an Obama guy? Why not use Justice Department lawyers? Disgraceful." All right, let me pick apart this bullshit tweet.
There's a lot.
One thing at a time, okay? First, you hippopotamic moron. The OIG does have jurisdiction over criminal wrongdoing. They do have prosecutorial power. And isn't this IG an Obama guy? No, the IG is an entire organization of over 700 employees. What are you talking about? Oh, and his thing about, what does he say? Why not use Justice Department lawyers? That's where the Justice Department lawyers are. They're in the IG. Like, what are you even talking about?
He doesn't Google anything.
It just means the people that I appointed. Yeah. Can we get some people I specifically put in place to make me all sitting pretty?
So he's like, we should have lawyers. They are. They don't have prosecutorial. Yes, they do. Is it an Obama guy? Okay, I think that the head of the IG for DOJ is an Obama guy. But he works for you, dude. Like, you can, all right, whatever.
That's confusing to me, though, because I would think he would be in favor of that taking a long time. Because prolonging it seems like it would give them more time
to think of a
do whatever
way to
the
die.
fuck they're gonna do. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That makes sense, yeah.
But, they work for the Justice Department. Lawyers do not, so Trump has no idea how the Department of Justice works or what its function is. And so that's actually what's disgraceful to me, not poor Jeffy, who, by the way, is a complete and utter trash, garbage human being. And I hate to even sort of stand up for Jeff Sessions.
Oh, yeah. He's racist Dobby. That's what Stephen Colbert
He is. He's grotesque. He's a grotesque human person.
That's what 2018 is doing, though. We're just happy for the small victories that these little pieces of shits are turning out.
Yeah, it's really bad. Katie Tur at NBC reported on Wednesday that witnesses that have been interviewed by Mueller's team are saying that they're being asked about when Trump knew and if he knew about the hacked email dirt on Hillary. They're also being asked if Trump knew that the Podesta emails had been targeted and if he helped disseminate the material or tried to cover it up in any way. Jaleesa is going to report on the professor that shared that intel with Papadop, and we have a bonus episode coming out this week about this particular nugget that was in the Dem memo. So you definitely want to listen to that. Like I said, you have to subscribe. I'm sorry, we're taking it away. But it's so easy. It's cheap. And you just go to MuellerSheWrote.com, click on subscribe. I promise it'll be totally worth it.
We're just in the hole with this podcast. It's so expensive.
I took out a second mortgage, guys. Come on.
Yeah, it's like,
no,
we're not like throwing dollar bills in here.
No, we're not. And, we're mostly nonprofit, too. A lot of these proceeds we're sending out to progressive campaigns. So it's not just your money that's helping pay for the podcast and support women podcasting and supporting the impeachment and removal of Trump, but you're also supporting flipping the Congress blue. So that's I don't know. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Thank you, subscribers.
Thank you so much. Sorry for that little mini ad that you had to listen to.
Sorry.
But anyway, in the Dem memo, they were talking about disseminating the emails, Russia anonymously disseminating the emails. And that would be, and if Trump knew about that, that's aiding and abetting. That'd be criminal conspiracy. And covering it up would be something called misprision. That's the deliberate concealment of one's knowledge of a treasonable act or a felony.
Oh, I like that word.
Me too. Can you say it again?
Misprision.
Nice. Misprision.
Sounds like a bird.
Or a teacher.
Misprision. If you want to. No, it's misprision. Anyway, do you remember okay. So my question is, how are we getting all these leaks right now? Because remember the day prior, we got wind from anonymous witnesses that Mueller was asking about Trump's Russia stuff in 2013 and 2014. So I'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. And then also that day, Hope Hicks announced that she will be resigning as communications director for the White House. This is the day after she testified for 8 hours, revealing pretty much nothing other than she lies for Trump.
Minor detail.
He put creatures in our bodies to control our minds.
It's all right. You're safe now.
Made us say lies, do things.
Yes. I played a clip from Wrath of Khan. I think it's relevant, considering Trump forced his communications directors to lie for him. And when I say communications directors, I mean plural, all of them. There have been like 9. And not to mention Van der Swan's father-in-law, his name is Herman Khan. So Wrath of Khan kind of fits.
Oh.
Haha. So, anyway, Hope has left the White House. Thank you for giving me my moment of Star Trek nerdiness. Here comes some fun theories now. Did she resign because she doesn't have security clearance? Did she resign because she called Trump a liar? Maybe she's a mole and Mueller told her to get out of there because the hammer's coming down. I'm not sure, but it's important to note that she left the day after Josh Raffel left the White House. Both worked at a PR firm together before they joined the Trump campaign. Raffel was in one of the many meetings to craft the White House statement about adoptions for the June 2016 meeting. He was there for that. Or I think he was standing with DT Jr.
At the RNC convention?
No, when they were trying to make up a lie about the Trump Tower meeting.
Yes.
Hope Hicks and Donald Trump Jr.
Yes.
I think Raffel, being the wrangler of the children, was next to one of the kids.
He just happened to be there, poor guy.
Like maybe, texting back and forth to Air Force One on behalf of DT Jr. or something. I don't know, but he was there. So I don't know. I don't know why she left. Oh, also, there was a news story that came out that Trump, berated her.
Yeah, I heard about that.
After he found out that she said that to the House Intelligence Committee.
The white lies thing?
Yeah, and some people think she might have resigned because of that.
He said, how could you be so stupid? Which makes... Here's my theory, if I could. I talked to my girlfriend about this because she tries to be really centrist and she thinks that she's good at it, but she feels bad for Trump in the sense that she thinks he's a prisoner. And so she feels like maybe Hope was one of the few people that he actually trusted and felt like was looking after him. And so her leaving is like him losing like one of the few people that still was there for him, and now he's just like left alone.
Yeah, and he's kind of unraveling this week as a result. Some people tie it to that. And yes, Trump may be a prisoner. He might be in a situation where he didn't want to be president and the Russians forced him to, or they would have released the dirt on him. But if you're a bad enough human being to have dirt on you in the first place, or to work with Russian mafia, and be in business with somebody who is a murderer and an autocrat, then I frankly don't give a shit what happens to you in your house. So anyway,
when he commissions a documentary from his perspective about how much he's been suffering, Carla should see if she could get on that writing panel. Some sad violin music.
He needs some sympathy. Yeah,
Trump was left alone.
Do 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 do, like really sad music. The Russian model and sex worker that took the video of Deripaska briefing the deputy prime minister of Russia on Manafort's briefing sent a message on her Instagram saying she's the missing link between Trump and Russia, and she's ready to talk. So we've been reporting on the quid pro quo between Manafort and Deripaska for a couple weeks now, actually a couple months now, and that pretty much because Manafort owed him $8 million, that Deripaska pretty much owns him. Jaleesa, you're going to go. Jordan, you're going to go over the sex coach later in the show,
which I did not look up. I should have done that. What it means to give sex lessons. That's what they're giving.
There was this hilarious video of her on a beach in Thailand with a bunch of people, doing jumping jacks, saying "sex on the beach, sex on the beach," and I'm like, cute. What are you learning? Is that going to get you? They
got her hired with Trump, maybe, or someone.
I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Jordan's got it, so I'm interested.
I creeped her Instagram for like 30 minutes today.
New reporting out Wednesday night indicates that witnesses being interviewed by Mueller are saying the special counsel is looking into the time last summer when Trump was toying with the idea of firing Sessions as a possible obstruction of justice charge. So if you remember, like last July, August, he was mad at Jeff Sessions and he wanted to fire him because Sessions had recused himself, and he exploded saying, "You need to protect me," or whatever.
Right.
So Mueller's looking into that, and he's asking that. That's the third story that came out in 24 hours about, from witnesses that leaked to the press. So again, why are those leaks happening? I'll go over that a little bit later. Trump called Hope Hicks stupid on Wednesday night. That's what I told you guys, for admitting to the House Intel Committee and said that was the last straw for her. So again, that may be what chased her out.
Oh.
I would have resigned. I mean,
oh yeah, it's amazing she was there at all.
Yeah, I thought they seem close, but I wonder if it was pretty one-sided too. She's ambitious and he's Trump.
Yeah, I mean
I've heard she's pretty respected too. I don't think I've ever seen many, anecdotes of her being
like
a really
bad
awful
person
human
or
being.
even bad at her job. She's just
people just think she's really smart, powerful.
She's the one in the White House where I'm like, oh man, get out of there.
Hope gives me hope.
Her and Melania.
Yes.
Although Melania is kind of a trash person.
I feel bad for her
but
too.
not because she posed nude and not because she was a model and not because she got a fake visa or whatever. That's conjecture.
Right.
But just because she takes pictures of herself eating pearls like spaghetti and
oh God, I haven't seen those.
Ugh, I don't know. She shut up,
Yeah, I have my concerns
First
with her
lady,
too.
yeah, is a perfect epitomization of America right now, though. So.
Yeah, but I have no problem with naked photos. So
yeah,
some big news dropped Wednesday night. About our boy Kushner and his business dealings. As you know, he's in debt up to his beady little eyes on a few of his big Satan properties. And though he stepped down as CEO of Kushner Properties when he joined the White House, he didn't divest most of his real property. It turns out he met with the CEOs of some big banks and hedge funds in the White House as a presidential advisor, including the CEOs of Apollo and Citibank. And what do you know? Shortly after those meetings, Apollo and Citibank lent him about $500 million.
What the fuck?
Let me just borrow like $500 million. No big deal.
This won't raise any red flags.
And word is he was discussing a job in the White House for the CEO of the Apollo hedge fund.
Wow.
So, yeah. So to cap off, I can't believe all the just
so
to
obvious.
take $500 million in loans.
Yeah.
So
he didn't
soon
even
after
do
the
it
meeting.
before he held that position. He's
Exactly.
doing it after.
Yeah, and there's more later. Just wait. And to cap off Wednesday night, this is cute. Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein and Noel Francisco. That's the Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, and Solicitor General. Those are like the three amigos of justice.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever there is injustice, you will find us. Wherever there is suffering, we'll be there. Line.
Wherever liberty is threatened, you'll...
Wherever liberty is threatened, you will find the three amigos.
Okay. That's funny.
And it's important to note that Noel Francisco is the third in line at the DOJ and would assume oversight of the Mueller investigation if Rosenstein was fired, because Sessions is recused.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They dined in public, and they allowed reporters to take their photo.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't trying to hide. That means they kind of wanted people to know that they were on like a triple date, a weird menage a trois of justice.
Nice.
What were they discussing? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
The obvious is my opinion, because I mean, it seems like it looked like the photo was kind of like the Romney-Trump photo. Like it seemed like one of the parties was really uncomfortable, and the other one was like, yeah, no
Which
one's
person looked uncomfortable? I haven't seen the photo.
Was it Rosenstein who was facing away from it? So it looked like Jeff Sessions looked really uncomfortable.
Well, Josh Sessions just looks like he's constipated all the time. So,
yeah.
But they were just hanging out, having dinner, the three of them. And
was it just like an Olive Garden photo? Like, come on, get in the frame. Ba-da-da-da-da. When you're here, your family.
And then everyone comes out like, happy birthday to you. That would be embarrassing.
It always is.
I don't know. They could be discussing what happens if Rosenstein gets fired.
Yeah, that's what I think the
future of the Mueller investigation.
But I wouldn't think they would try to come together on that, really, because especially in such a public way, if they were doing something sinister, if they had any sort of like sinister ideas. I wonder if they're getting together, maybe just kind of being like, man, fuck this guy. This shit's getting ridiculous.
I hope so.
How are we gonna?
I think it's a message to Trump too. Like we're together, bro.
Mm-hmm.
One of us, all of us, maybe. I don't know. Maybe if Rosenstein gets fired, Noel Francisco will be like, I'm just going to pick up this investigation right where it left off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that picture kind of tells Trump that.
Yeah. I wonder if the bullies throughout the campaigning process and throughout whatever tenure they had before they got in trouble and have been needing to testify and everything. But I wonder if the people that are really getting slammed right now and indicted were almost the bullies, and now that they're sort of getting indicted, it's kind of like they can
the nerds
stand
on
up
the
for
playground are
themselves.
having their day in the sun.
Yeah.
Like, yay, nerds.
Yeah.
It would
those
make
people
sense.
really
coming
sucked.
from me, who just played a bunch of Wrath of Khan clips, but whatever. Also on Thursday, NBC reported that Mueller is moving toward indicting more Russians. The first batch of Russians we told you about in episode 15, they were indicted for dressing up as Americans, stealing American identities, and physically coming here to campaign for Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Dressing up as Americans means, I don't know, not wearing your Alf shirt or taking off your Knight Rider hat. Like, I don't know.
Strapping pillows to their midsection.
I don't know what Russians wear. But anyway, this new round of indictments is said to be about the DNC hack and the subsequent release of the Podesta and DNC emails.
Yeah.
Because the first one was about that whole, they just physically came here and started campaigning for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, as we know, the DNC was hacked by WikiLeaks and Guccifer 2.0, and Podesta and DNC emails were released. And that's what these indictments apparently are going to be about.
Nice.
So that's the reporting. Here's my prediction. These charges will include violations of election law, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, and criminal conspiracy against the United States.
Lovely.
Also to watch out for, a possible indictment of WikiLeaks, the organization, or Julian Assange, or both.
Ooh.
And this also could perhaps include an indictment of Putin, or at least some of his higher up Kremlin officials.
Wow, I was just thinking how far would that go? Because then I'm thinking like Facebook too. I'm like, I don't know how deep they would get, but it sounds like they're thorough.
Yeah, they are very thorough, and that the whole Facebook, Twitter thing comes from the digital, Cambridge Analytica and conspiracy and all that stuff with Kushner. That's going to come out in later indictments because right now they're just focusing on Russians and money.
Right.
They're trying. It seems like they're staying away from conspiracy and collusion
for now
and obstruction.
Yeah.
And they're just because they don't want to let any of their little secrets out.
Yeah. And if they can use these indictments like we talked about last week, sort of to maybe kind of get people to flip so they can get more information for when they start going for collusion things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Conspiracy things.
That's exactly it. And as I mentioned before, the White House started planning and preparing for a McMaster exit. Last week I told you guys we could not have Kushner, McMaster, and Kelly all in the same White House anymore. And one of them had to go. So they've picked McMaster.
Wow.
That's sad. He was smart.
Yeah. Smarter than Kushner.
Yeah, and not as much of a wife beater enabler
and actually
as
knowledgeable
Kelly.
too.
Yeah, good point.
So we should be hearing about his resignation by the end of this month. So keep an eye on, or your ears out, or whatever you do, 10-4. CNN reported Thursday that the FBI is now investigating Ivanka for her business dealings. We don't think she's been interviewed by Mueller. When I say we, I mean me and all of the news. We don't think. We haven't heard that, at least. Also, last week, Rick Gates asked if the court if he could leave his house arrest and go on a spring break trip with his family to Boston, remember?
Yeah.
And Mueller said it was okay, and the court said it was okay. Well, he has since canceled his trip.
Oh.
Out of fear for his safety.
Oh, that's right.
Shit.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, that's
It's the first threat he's gotten, right, that he's reacted to like that.
like. Do you not understand who Vladimir Putin is?
Yeah, I'm surprised it took him this long to get scared.
That's true.
Like Gates, maybe you should have a meeting with like Bill Browder and try to figure out like how much serious business it is.
I wonder if Manafort maybe told him sort of where his head is at since they're friends or something. And he's like, oh fuck, maybe I should.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I were Manafort, I wouldn't be talking to Rick Gates right now.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm a decent human person, so I would never be Manafort.
Yeah.
On Friday, NBC reported the fourth story about Mueller witnesses leaking, now saying Mueller's team is asking people about Kushner's $500 million in loans and whether or not those influenced White House policy.
Yep.
I wonder if either of those CEOs dumped their steel and aluminum stock.
I heard someone did it.
Yeah, Eichen did it.
Yeah.
$31 million. Eric Prince did it. And Deripaska got out of the aluminum business.
Oh, my goodness.
Before Trump did that. So.
But then again, it was already being rumored that he was going to do that when they did it.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And also, but what's interesting to note is that, did you notice that the aluminum tariffs are much lower than the steel tariffs?
Yeah.
Our top two importers of aluminum are United Arab Emirates and Russia. Or number 2 and number 3.
Oh, God.
I didn't know that.
So maybe there was we'll go easy on you and only do 10%.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Nope. So I don't know. But Prince says he talked about aluminum with Russia in his meeting in the Seychelles that was set up by the United Arab Emirates, where he also discussed Russia's sanctions on behalf of Trump. The UAE is one of the 4 nations also in our intel agency's intercept communications saying Kushner was an easy target. But wouldn't the tariff hurt Russia, as I just said, and the UAE? They're 2 of the top aluminum importers, and that's why I'm saying sure, but it could have been 25%, and they got talked down to 10.
Exactly.
I would just like to take this moment really quick to say, notice how all these people that think that this is all a hoax, right? And these are all just isolated incidents and the Marshall Plan theory is just crazy conjecture. Notice how not a single other fucking country is being mentioned when, no other dots are being connected.
Seriously.
It's always the same fucking countries.
The same people, the same country. It's not, at this point, it's like they just refuse to see it. Because I'll Google Mueller, or I'll look, search it on Twitter and see what people are saying. And 9 out of 10 tweets are Mueller's gonna get him. And then one person is like, what about Hillary? They're dwindling out.
Yeah, what about
it? Blows my mind. Just don't be an idiot. You don't don't have all this come out and then just be like, damn.
It's interesting because something that seems so obvious. I mean, obviously we're all left of center in this room.
Yeah.
And of course we do have our biases, and I try to report facts and I try to separate out the conjecture. And then I obviously make notable jokes at the expense of people on the right.
Yes.
Because they're easy targets like Kushner.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's what they meant. I'm not sure. But it's important to note that even though and we're going to see, and it feels sometimes it's so frustrating that you try to show these things to people and they don't see it. But you have to remember that even if evidence and when evidence comes out, they still won't see it. There's a psychological thing in play where people will destroy facts to keep their point of view intact.
You're right. And I feel like it's because their lifestyle depends on it. I think they're so
their
invested
friends,
in like their
culture.
Yeah, whether they're racist, whether it's just about like not digging, Democrats, whatever the case is, it's like if they have to admit that Trump did all these things, it would just shift their whole perspective about what their party even means. And I get that concern, but at some point you just got to say, it's not about choosing teams.
Well, And also you have to, I have to, as a researcher, as a doctoral researcher, I have to take a look and say, am I refusing to see facts from the other side, exculpatory evidence, because I am so convinced that this is the way that it is. But every counter argument that somebody comes at with me to the evidence that I have evidence to show them.
Right.
The contrary. And every argument that I have to them, I just get a meme back, or I get called a bitch, or I'm told to get fucked in the heart, or my constant thing is like, look, if you're gonna show me the money, show me your credible evidence, and don't take me to obamasucksdicks.org website to show me your article that backs up your point. Of course, that article backs up your point, but the major problem is that when I use Associated Press or CNN or New York Times, no one believes them anymore because the president has removed believability and credibility for those organizations in his base.
I will say this, though, that's a real issue with the whole fake news propaganda. I think one way that we've been combating that, though, is I've noticed whenever someone tries to approach a dialogue with UAG and they have some semblance of a similarity in thought, you do latch on to that. You're not just dismissive of people that, share even a remote, thought that's the same as yours. So I think when we find those common grounds, which we have been doing, I've seen people change their mind based on things you've said. So,
well, somebody said to me the other day, they were like, why are we wasting money on this Mueller investigation when we could spend money on something else, whatever it was. I can't remember what it was, homeless veterans or, something that would normally come from a right-wing thing. Why are we wasting money on this? And the best I could say was that with the asset forfeiture that's going to happen just on the Manafort case alone, we're actually making money on this investigation.
Very nice.
Yeah. So while I see and feel your pain, and then there's the whole zero-sum game argument. You can't like homeless veterans and support this thing at the same time because the money has to go there or there. You can't do both at the same time. And I try to tell guys, and it's usually guys, but no offense, guys, I love you. I try to tell people, non-binary, fluid people, that it's not so much about there's not a winner and a loser. You can do two things at once.
Absolutely.
I believe in you, Pam. You can do it.
I love that. I love it.
All right. So anyway, back to the action here. New York Times reported Friday that Trump asked Kelly to remove Jared and Ivanka, and then told Jared and Ivanka secretly to stay no matter what Kelly does.
What is going on?
I know. That's great reporting. I think that was Maggie Haberman. That was beautiful. Also on Friday, CNN reported that John Kelly said that the White House handling of classified material was, quote, not up to the standards he was used to. No. And my favorite part about this, just no one having security clearance and they're just being willy-nilly about classified information and leaking stuff to Israel and to the Russians in the Oval Office. And his whole thing was how careless Hillary Clinton was with classified information.
Exactly.
By using a private email server. Even though the most Republican people in the world looked it over and said, no, it's okay. The most conservative law enforcement agency in the world said, nope, it's okay. That was still what he harped on. And now he is one of the most careless presidents and White House administrations.
It blows my mind.
With classified information. It scares me, frankly. Somebody made a point to say this week that the White House calligrapher now has higher security clearance than Jared Kushner.
Seriously.
The Daily Beast broke a story on Friday that Kushner's dad asked a Qatari firm to lend the Kushners money to shore up 666 Fifth Avenue. We've talked about the 666 building. It's the office building that's the centerpiece of the Kushner real estate empire, and it is $1 billion in debt. And that loan is coming due in 2 months, and Kushner and his family have been scrambling to get money to pay this loan
I had no
back.
idea the deadline was coming.
And that's what the Citigroup and Apollo $500 million loans went into that office building. And Kushner's dad went to Qatar and asked them, can we have some money and to put into this office building? And Qatar looked at the office building because he bought it in 2007, right before the bubble burst. So that was dumb.
Oh, yeah.
And Qatar went, no, thank you. And that upset Kushner. But what's interesting is that when that deal fell apart, Kushner backed a Saudi blockade of Qatar. Basically teaming up with Saudi Arabians to throw a blockade up against Qatar. And Qatar is one of our key allies in the fight against ISIL in the region. That's national security level shit. We have thousands of troops in Qatar. But his not getting a loan, and now it's not proven that it's connected.
But to him, it was clearly more important.
But whether he did it because of that or not, but he did advocate for the blockade against Qatar, and it happened to be less than a month after Qatar refused to lend him money on that building.
Interesting. So we'll see if that...
Also, yeah, we'll see. Mueller's looking into it. And also the securities, the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, dropped an inquiry into Apollo Global Management less than a month after they agreed to lend Kushner $180 million. So a government agency stopped investigating the Apollo Group for securities fraud.
Oh, God.
Within a month after receiving the loan.
Privilege.
Whether or not it had anything to do with it, again, I'm not going to say that this is correlation, not causation.
Fair enough.
Nothing is proven. It's just,
It's just so close.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And there's been some other things, too. I know that Kushner and Trump met with Xi Jinping of China and talked about the One China initiative. And they were like, I'm not sure. And then Kushner talked to Angbang, which is a huge bank in China, and got a loan. And then later on, after that, the One China initiative went through. So it's just like, are these things affecting policy? And if they are, is it illegal? I mean, it's definitely unethical.
Right.
But the thing about Washington is we've always operated our ethics on a basis of this isn't just, you just don't do this.
Right.
There's not a lot of teeth to the ethics laws.
Yeah, but Mueller's the teeth.
No one's ever done this shit before. That's why there's no like, I mean, now we're going to have to set up, I feel like we're going to have to set up these ethics laws that have teeth.
I mean, if nothing else, that would be progress out of this whole thing, because obviously something needs to happen.
It's never needed to happen before. It sucks. And now we're like, well, we could actually have this kind of a person in the White House. We have to protect ourselves against the office of the president.
Yeah, and the irony that his slogan is "Make America Great Again." Meanwhile, he is just undermining the very fabric of the integrity that people that are usually elected officials
what
have.
a cover-up of a slogan. They were like, don't look over here. We're making America great. Don't look at anything else.
It's really sad.
It's so sad. People are so fucking stupid.
Oh my god!
I mean,
like the people that follow that.
I didn't know what was happening
It's
either.
the most see-through thing.
Man, I feel like
this guy that has a TMZ video out about grabbing a woman by her pussy has a hat that says "Make America Great Again." Isn't there some sort of disconnect there that's confusing?
Maybe in his great America, you can grab pussies.
That's true.
You
That
never
is
know.
Honestly, that's what it comes down to.
That
You're
is so
right.
true.
I think so.
Yeah, hit it on the head.
That's
That
sad.
is what it is. It's
All right.
the America they want.
All right, you guys, that was the news. We'll be right back with our special reports. Thank you for listening to Mueller, She Wrote. We would not be here if it weren't for the support of our patrons. And this week, we're adding more bonus content for our subscribers, including bonus episodes. They'll be released throughout the week. And we're going to probably start up a closed Facebook group for patrons to continue the discussion after the show is over, with the hosts included, so that should be fun. And that's all in addition to the weekly newsletter with links to pictures and articles, infographics, and all the references we make in the show. And my personal research notes are included in that as well. Mueller, She Wrote swag is also available, like t-shirts, tote bags, and stickers. And of course, our Sexy Justice calendar that's coming out, I believe, in April. So please join our patrons and support women in podcasting by visiting MuellerSheWrote.com and clicking subscribe. your Mueller addiction. Well, thank you. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, we really appreciate it. Let's go over to Jaleesa for her information on the Russian professor, Mifsud.
It's an interesting name. I'll give you credit for that. Joseph Mifsud. I always want to say Mifsud.
I do too.
Yeah,
I want Fud to be in there.
He's not from here, but he is the professor who told Papadopoulos that Russia had dirt on Hillary, as we mentioned before. He actually told Papadop 2 months before the DNC knew they were even hacked. So this guy was in it. And now he seemingly disappeared, leaving behind a pissed off fiance and newborn child. The child is probably also pissed off, I would imagine.
It's hard to gauge an infant's pissed offedness.
I can only imagine. So
it's kind of like, wah!
You can tell in the eyes. You're like, Is it taking a shit or is it angry?
Both. An angry shit. So the fiance is a 31-year-old Ukrainian woman named Anna, and she hasn't heard from Joseph since she was 7 months pregnant, and this is around the time in October when all of the news broke out that he was the guy that started the whole "they have dirt on Hillary" thing. So this became a huge deal. This guy was planning his life. He obviously recently got engaged, was having a baby, and seemingly, according to this woman at least, he was prepared to stick around. And when all of this happened in October and then in February, when the 13 Russians, in the troll farm were indicted by Mueller, Joseph just left. And his name stood out from the indictment a lot. So we're guessing he left because of this. So after all this happened, his name disappeared from the university he taught at. His email and cell phone went dead. He even stopped sending his fiancée Anna WhatsApp messages, which he sent a ton that she shared with BuzzFeed.
What messages?
WhatsApp.
Oh, WhatsApp.
I've never used it, but yeah, I'm guessing it's, text messages. And she shared all of this with BuzzFeed. And the thing is, a year ago, BuzzFeed reached out to her and they wanted her to speak about this a lot sooner. But she said that at least then her relationship was private. But recently she changed her mind because she feels like Joseph may have misled her. You think? So she's had a change of heart.
Well, why do you think he disappeared? Is it in there?
I mean, basically it's because he's at the center of the Mueller investigation now.
But who's he hiding from?
I mean, if I had to guess, I want to say, because here's the things that he said in the WhatsApp messages that.
Do you think maybe Putin promised him or like a witness protection relocation?
I'm wondering if
I'll disappear you if you do this for me.
It's either that or it seems like he's running from Putin, because he was telling her in the last few messages before they went radio silent that he was hanging on to his health, like he was fighting for his life. And
maybe he was poisoned again.
I wonder.
Not again, like he wasn't poisoned, but
right,
maybe Putin poisoned someone again. But why would he be running from Putin if he was doing what Putin wanted?
Exactly. So, I mean, at this point, that's the big question mark. But, I mean, the only connection we have now is his fiance. And she said, he never helped me, only talk and promises. And at this point, all we have are these texts. So there's a lot of screenshots. Maybe we can include some in the newsletter or something. But
send those to Jordan. We'll get them out in the newsletter.
Yeah, we can show the best ones because there are dozens. And yeah, at this point, BuzzFeed has all of this. And the main highlights from the text messages is that,
well, if they were text messages, they're clearly biased. Then they need to not be part of this.
Photoshopped, yeah, not fake news. So he basically would brag to his fiance a lot, allegedly, about having dinner with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Lavrov. Everyone knows that guy.
That guy, yeah. And he also, the messages also show that Mifsud traveled to Saudi Arabia last spring at the exact time that Trump did his first overseas trip.
Marshall Plan?
Ding, ding, ding.
So that's where we're left. I mean, at this point, I know it's kind of hearsay with the fiance.
Saudis have a lot of money. A lot of money. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Trumpies and the Manafortsies and the Kushneries of the world weren't trying to get some of that sweet Saudi Arabian money to pay off their debts.
Yeah, that sword dance they were doing. They were like, just pay me. So yeah, at this point, we only have the word of this fiance.
So he's gone. He's been disappeared.
He's gone. We can't hear from him.
Literally no one knows
no politicians, no friends, nothing. Mueller doesn't know where he is, apparently. Like, it's just this woman.
He knows where he is.
You know, I want to believe he does. Like, that would be the cherry on top to all this. But apparently, no one can find him. Wow. So all we have are these messages. And like I said, there's tons of them. We'll include the best ones. But at this point, the highlights is that he knew Russian guys. He bragged about how much he knew them. He was the guy that dropped the dirt about the emails. And then he disappeared when the heat was on. And
he also said that he also apparently, according to the Schiff memo, said that he would help anonymously disseminate those emails.
Ooh.
And that's a big thing that we're going to go over in our bonus episode. So
yeah.
Anyway, wow, that's weird that he's just completely missing, and I can't make sense of it because who's he hiding from?
Exactly.
Because you don't need to hide from Mueller.
Right.
We could indict you, but Putin's not going to.
He's not from here, so I wonder.
Extradite anyone.
Yeah, what's he running to? What's he running from? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless of course it was, that maybe, like I said, Putin promised him a new life with a new name somewhere if he did this. No,
that's what I'm thinking. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, well, I was just thinking maybe he knows too much information or something, and Putin doesn't want him to release more.
That's what it sounds like. This whole fighting for my life.
You know what? It could be this could be a deal where he's a soldier, like a marching orders guy, like a goon, a lackey.
Oh yeah.
For Putin, and Putin sends people out to do things, low level guys, and then they disappear. They die.
Oh man.
Because he doesn't want them to be captured and told.
He might have known all along that was his plan, and he made this woman think. I mean,
that actually probably sounds like the most reasonable thing. Is he's either hiding from Putin or he's been
or working with him,
or he's been removed by Putin.
Oh, so you're saying either way,
Killed.
You don't think
like
Putin would
already
keep
gone?
him? Oh no, that'd
be crazy.
Because he's a liability.
So
you don't leave any witnesses alive.
Oh, he maybe didn't even mean to have a wife and child. Maybe that was just like a coincidence along the way, and he's like, oh, maybe I can make it happen.
Well, the way that Putin works probably is he had dirt on this guy, on Mifsud.
Yeah.
And Mifsud had no choice but to do this work for Putin.
Yeah.
And Putin doesn't like to leave any loose ends or doesn't like to have anybody out there who could spill the beans on him, and had him rubbed out.
Because the guy seemed to want to have the kid, like in the earlier messages.
That sounds like Scarface shit, but that's the level of shit that we're dealing with.
It sounds so
Putin
crazy.
is evil, super
He's a
evil.
villain. He ruins lives, and this guy, at least in the messages that I read, it sounds like he wanted to have a life, and Putin's not the kind of guy that gives a crap about that.
Nope. Well, and I wanted to tell you, and I'm sorry that this is completely non sequitur, but I was reminded that, remember when I was talking about how the Qatari people wouldn't loan Kushner money, and then they got a blockade against him by our government in conjunction with Saudi Arabia. Well, the Qataris were here visiting a couple weeks ago, and they were ready to hand over the evidence to Mueller that they had this quid pro quo deal with Kushner, but they decided not to.
Okay.
And it was orchestrated with other countries. So, but the Qataris were starting to get in good again with Trump, so they didn't want to mess that up, and they didn't want to get involved in a basically a lawsuit against Trump.
Right.
Because Trump holds the power over them. But the other countries that were involved might have given that information over to Mueller. I don't know. They didn't say anything about that.
I hope so.
Anyway, completely off topic.
I love it, though.
Thank you so much for that.
Of course.
That's kind of creepy. Yeah. I personally think it's, now that I've talked it out, I think it's the... he's a liability. He has to be removed because he knows so much, just like you said.
Yeah.
Jordan. All right. So, Jordan, speaking of Jordan, you have a crazy story about a Russian model in a Thai prison.
Are you ready for the sex girls? The hot, lean, hot, big, hot girls. Are you ready for the sex girls? The right, ultra vital, nice girls.
All right. Let's hear it.
All right, a lot of juicy stories today. So this one coming up, it came out on the news 4 days ago, and her name is, a Russian model named Anastasia Vashukevich, I think is how you say that. She is currently in a Thai jail, and she was locked up. Also important to note, she actually goes by the name Nastya Rybka. That's where you can look her up on Instagram, which I highly recommend you do if this story is at all interesting to you. There's racy photos on there because she's a model and I don't know if sex worker.
Sex coach.
Sex coach.
Oh.
Yes. So there's some racy photos on there, but So she puts out this message saying that when she was in Thailand teaching these
It'd be so great if the sex workers saved the world.
Yeah, that would be pretty epic. The more I looked at the Instagram, though, and I don't know if this is just a language barrier thing, but it does seem pretty nonsensical, some of the stuff.
The captions?
Yeah, I mean, first off, they're in Russian, so you have to do the translate me
Right.
thing, and then you do that, and then maybe that's why they seem super nonsensical.
Okay.
But it's at the very least manic. Although I would say if if you have involvements with top Russian officials and you're convinced that you're being imprisoned because of that would make sense.
Oh yeah.
So she is in Thailand right now, and her and then I think a crew of 10 people it was that were going to teach sex lessons in Thailand. They've been there for a little bit. For a minute.
Sex on the beach.
Yes. Yeah. That's amazing.
Don't do that, by the way.
Yeah.
Sand doesn't make a good lubricant.
I can't imagine. I never understood that fantasy.
No, me neither. Me
Yeah.
neither. No.
Yeah, never tried it. Probably never will. Okay. I digress. I'm just thinking about logistics.
So she had a crew of 10.
Yes, so she has a crew of yes, exactly, sex coaches, and they were arrested on February 26th, and they're being held in Thailand along with these other Russians in the city of Pattaya for running so-called sex training sessions. Rybka, who I'm just going to call
Which
her
is
from
so
now on.
unusual in Thailand.
Thai prisons are known to be fucking horrible.
That, first of all, is a huge weird red flag for me that she was arrested. Just so happened to be the person who got video of Deripaska on the yacht. You don't get arrested for giving sex classes in Thailand. They have 12-year-old boys who can shoot ping pong balls out of their ass. Like, if you're a sailor and you're in the Navy, you've been to Thailand, you know that's what they do.
Their culture.
That's the thing.
Yeah, or
in
part of it.
Thailand, you don't get arrested for doing jumping jacks on the beach, coaching sex stuff. So that first to me is like a what?
Yes. So apparently they're saying that it's because some people have expired visas and there's other immigration problems because they're being held in an immigration detention center.
I wonder.
So
Oh, yeah, visa violation.
Yeah, visa violation.
So it wasn't that they got arrested for sex coaching. It was a visa thing.
No, I feel like... Yeah, well, so I feel like the article that I read said something about it being related to the sex lessons or essentially I think it was just illegally working.
It might have been an additional
not the
charge
nature
or
of the
something.
work, but just illegally working. So
Okay.
so they all get arrested, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, and so since they were arrested, she posts videos. I imagine she's posting videos and Instagram posts from the inside of the van that's actually transporting her to these different prisons. So they must not
So she's
confiscate
not
phones
handcuffed or
I think they just throw them in or something
Where'd she
and then
smuggle it?
and then oh, that's true too. Oh shit, maybe, but. So she posts this message, and it's essentially
she looks like she's like a size -000. Though I hope it's not an iPhone 8 Plus because
god,
that's like the
iPad.
That's the width of her entire. Never mind.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, maybe at one point, but but no. So she's in there and she posts this video and she's essentially just pleading for asylum with the United States, saying, I know that the Russians are behind this. I've been involved in this video scandal that's connecting Russian officials to the Trump campaign and is going to expose their ties, essentially. I know Putin doesn't want this information out. I'm positive that this has been ordered by Russia and that I'm going to die. I'm either going to die in a Thai prison or the Russians are going to come and get me and I'm going to rot in a jail cell.
She'll be extradited.
Yes.
And beaten to death.
Yes.
A la
And
Magnitsky.
Yes.
Just for not having visas? But, not really.
That's the reason that Russia used to get them to do that. And that's conjecture, I guess. But honestly, it gets fucking crazy. So they've been moved, since they were first arrested, they've been moved to 3 different prisons. And they actually paid bail at one of their prisons, and then they were released for 10 minutes, and then the Thai police denied their rights to obtain visas and arrested them again.
No.
And so now they're being held in a jail cell, and they have people that are like I said, if you look at her Instagram, it's kind of confusing because it's these look like very free living people for being detained. But I think it's like one of her friends has her phones or something and is posted from her account.
Yeah,
and
but she's
it's
still
something
definitely
like that.
in prison.
They are in prison. But there's like photos of her sitting on the cement ground in the jail cell because she's been like vomiting and she's sick and they're not giving her doctors.
Dude.
And it's horrible conditions.
Did you read any reason for us to like feel bad, or because this sounds like a really sad story? Like, is there anything about her? Because I can't imagine that she did anything wrong just by the sound of it. Like, it's just
so. Here's the only thing is that this story broke, like AG talked about. It broke before this happened. And she didn't produce evidence then that really substantiated things other than the video that she gave from her phone.
Yeah.
That was on that yacht.
It's kind of like the Stormy Daniels, like, I've got stuff, but I'm not telling.
Yeah.
I've got stuff, but I'm not telling.
And you just think about, politicians, sex workers and politicians go hand in hand, obviously.
Yeah.
So these women are constantly, or men, honestly, are constantly in the know of information, and just keeping it to themselves is part of the game and playing with that. So it sounds like she's just caught in a really horrible situation. But so then she learns that a Russian official named Nikolai Patrushev, who is the head of Russia's Security Council and former head of the FSB, is in Thailand. He just got to Thailand.
Okay.
So now it's like, this is obviously related to Russia.
Absolutely.
I wonder if he's going to go get her.
Exactly. And that's honestly what... Like, this isn't even really conjecture.
I wonder if Mueller even sees it as something that's worth anything.
That's the sad thing, is she's calling for Mueller to come and save her, but I don't think Mueller even really needs her.
Aww.
And so I don't know if America has like a civil duty or something, or like an ethical duty to respond to that cry for help but it's just so out of their jurisdiction. It's
not really. We
it's
don't
just
really
so shitty.
I mean, unless he finds her to be a valuable witness, he can ask for extradition.
Yeah.
But he can't just put on some armor and go rescue her from the tower.
Exactly. So she writes in one of her posts, quote, "I'm ready to give you all of the missing puzzle pieces, support them with videos and audios regarding the connections of our respected lawmakers with Trump, Manafort, and the rest. I know a lot. I'm waiting for your offers, and I'm waiting for you in a Thai prison." So that's what she initially says.
Poor thing. That's like a suicide note too. If Putin gets a hold
it's
of
honest.
that.
It's really, really tragic, because it's like, what a helpless feeling. This person honestly is just, it's weird that the world is sort of informed of what's going on, but I honestly do not see how it's not tied to Russia and to that video.
But like you said, he just might not need her, and it sucks.
And so this is Rybka, this woman, she came under the spotlight in recent weeks after the Russian opposition politician, he's Putin's opposition in this upcoming election, Navalny, published an investigation earlier this month on his Anti-Corruption Foundation website into her connections with some of Russia's richest and most powerful men. And if you look at her Instagram, it says in her bio, it says Deripaska's mistress on her thing. So she's like super, super open.
Yeah, there's pictures of her, and Deripaska.
Wow.
Yeah.
Noodles.
Yeah, and this is all regarding an August 2016 yacht trip with Russian billionaire Oleg Deripaska and Deputy Prime Minister Sergei Prikodko. So
dude, this is where it gets
a month
scary.
after Manafort promised Deripaska campaign briefings, probably to pay him back the $8 million that he owes him, since he stopped going after him legally for it, using an intermediary, Limkin. Anyway.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Navalny says you can hear in the video, you can hear the two men discussing Russia's poor relationship with the United States and essentially what would lead to any sort of debts that we have information-wise. I won't even say we. Fuck that. Manafort is not a fucking American. He is a piece of shit person that is a lone wolf, an actual lone wolf.
Right.
That I don't know. I mean, yeah. Okay. So last thing to wrap up, just another sad thing that she wrote that is really powerful. She says, "If we go back to Russia, we will die in Russians' prison or they will kill us." This is very serious. Please, USA, help us not to die from Russians. And that is the very empathetic approach to all
Right.
this. There's also another approach where, like I said, if you read her Instagram, it's kind of just like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Because I know, too, that a lot like Stormy Daniels, these people knowingly get involved in these really sketchy things. So an element of it is obviously not you had it coming, but it is kind of like, what were you doing fucking around with those
Right,
guys?
what did you
Obviously,
expect?
not that you deserve to die
Not
in a
at all.
Russian gulag, but it is not like a, what? She
Playing
was
with
just
fire.
an innocent person. Like, she's obviously playing the game with information that she's collected over the
Exactly.
years because she's refused to give up the evidence before. Now that she's in a Thai prison and she knows that the Russians are coming for her, now she's, like, wanting to talk.
Of course. And, I mean, it could be as simple as we get her out of the Thai prison, we interview her, and if it's not worth anything, we extradite her to Russia.
Yeah, and then she
Okay.
still dies.
Well, that would be something. I mean, I know
Give her a
Mueller.
chance to
Does Mueller
to
listen
see
to
if
this
I'm not Mueller by any stretch of the means, but any stretch of the imagination. But if I were, I'd be interested to see what she has to say. I'd be interested to see if she's got video or audio.
Yeah.
I'll bring her in here. If she doesn't produce any proffer that is worth anything to me, I will extradite her back to Russia.
Sorry.
She's not part of my legal system. So
Yeah, exactly.
That's the law.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
That's a tough one.
thank you very much for that.
Thank you,
That's
Jordan.
crazy. Anyway, all right. So this week I wanted to talk a little bit about the 4 stories that broke this week. 4 stories that were leaked by witnesses or witnesses that spoke to the Mueller team exclusively to NBC. I think one to CNN. First, we had the story about Mueller looking into Trump's activity in Russia in 2013-2014. According to NBC, a witness that had been questioned by the Office of Special Counsel said that Mueller was looking into when Trump had told the Russians he was running for president. We reported this on a prior episode based on a Seth Abramson Twitter thread that Trump had, in fact, visited Moscow in 2013 and began speaking to Putin lackeys about running for president. This came on the heels of Trump's tweet about the 13 Russian indictments. I was telling you before, his tweet saying this happened in 2014, way before I ran for president. And since he's referred to the news as dated, but we know via Russian social media posts and some interviews with Trump lawyer Cohen, remember that guy, the guy who's paid off Stormy Daniels, that Trump had told Russians in early trips to Moscow in 2013 he was thinking about a presidential run. He had reportedly written a letter of intent saying as much. And Cohen said in an interview that he and Trump had spent some money on straw polling in preparation for a bid for the White House in 2013. So it's public knowledge at that point. Shortly after that, Trump was overpaid for the Miss Universe pageant in Moscow, where he met with a group of Putin proxies to discuss his intentions, along with the Trump Tower Moscow deal. The next day, NBC dropped another story sourced by witnesses that had interviewed with Mueller, saying that Mueller was homing in on when Trump knew about the hacked emails from the DNC and Podesta. This came to our attention because when the Dem memo was released last week, pointed out that the Russian professor that you were talking about, Jaleesa,
Right.
that he didn't only just tell Papadop that the Russians had emails, but that they would help disseminate them anonymously on behalf of the campaign.
Oh.
And we have a bonus episode coming up this week, as I told you about before, regarding that, so check that out. Then another story dropped, again from NBC, that Mueller's team has been asking about Trump's intentions and frame of mind when he was toying with the idea of firing Sessions. And this is the part of the investigation that's looking into obstruction of justice. And likely this is an attempt to show that Trump had corrupt intent to fire Sessions, because Sessions recused himself. Remember when Trump got all mad about that, because he wasn't going to protect him. And if Mueller can show that Trump's intent was to impede the Russia probe, he could have enough for an obstruction of justice
Would hearsay,
charge.
like if someone testified within the scope of the investigation and said, yeah, I know Trump's was aware of this, would that count? Is that considered evidence, like just someone's testimony alone?
No, I wouldn't allow that. You're going to have emails or some
Something
sort of
textual
proof. Yeah.
documents. Okay.
Or someone who, if Trump told them that that's what he thought,
Okay.
Usually you need pretty hard evidence for it to prove intent, and it's hard to prove.
Yeah.
And then finally, NBC reported that witnesses had told them that Mueller was looking into whether or not the loans that Kushner got from Apollo and Citibank influenced White House policy. We talked about that a little bit. Since then, as I went over, several stories have emerged outlining quid pro quo in those cases, including the one I mentioned, that he received the loans and then dropped the SEC investigation against Apollo firm.
Right.
Again, we don't know if they're connected, but they happen really close to each other.
Yeah.
And Kushner apparently backed a Qatari blockade when a deal with a Qatari investor to dump money into his 666 property fell through. And like I said, this is really troubling because Qatar is one of our key allies fighting ISIS in the region. They're an ally.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. So we have these 4 stories all about what Mueller is asking, all from a witness or witnesses in the case, and all from NBC, I think except one was CNN.
Okay.
And all of these came right out about the same time that Josh Raffel and Hope Hicks left the White House. So here's where we get into speculation and conjecture. What do you guys think is going on? Because where are these leaks coming from? Are they coming from Hope Hicks and Josh Raffel? They all seemingly come from one set of sources and to mostly one news organization. And all these things could have been asked months ago.
Right.
But why are they all coming out right now? Is Mueller telling people to leak this stuff?
Right,
To
slowly.
bait Trump? What do you guys think? What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, for the people that have flipped, do you know at all what the language is for their plea deals in terms of speaking to press? I imagine it's don't. You're not supposed to. But is there any sort of super, like, maybe there's
My
not?
understanding is you're allowed to speak to the press, that you're allowed to tell them you were interviewed, but I don't think you can talk about what you talked
Right,
about.
the ongoing
Okay.
investigation. That would make sense.
But
Yeah.
So it's probably, do you think it's safe to rule out the people that have flipped then
yeah, I don't know.
as the sources of the leaks?
I wonder, yeah. I guess since, Hopes and Jared, or is that the guy's name? Jared is the other one? Her friend.
Josh Raffel.
Josh, there we go. Yeah. So, it would make sense that since they're the only ones that haven't flipped yet, that they would have a little more flexibility there, but I don't know.
I mean, top White House aides, are they going to have access to these things? Because I keep seeing in all of the leaks a top White House aide who wants to remain anonymous.
Well, these are witnesses who've been interviewed by Mueller. That's what it was. And it
I
didn't say
hear that.
top
Okay.
top White House aide. It said all 4 of these stories came from witnesses
Got
that
it.
have been interviewed by the Mueller investigation or the Mueller team, saying that these are the questions Mueller's asking, and they all came out on Tuesday and Wednesday, and that's right when Hope Hicks was being called stupid, and right when she resigned.
Sounds like it might involve her to...
I don't know.
Or,
Do you think it's a high up person, or do you think, or high up people, or do you think it's people that are more or less under the radar, not household names?
Maybe it's Bannon, like somebody who just can't get enough of the press, and then is Mueller allowing it or orchestrating it, or does Mueller not care? I mean, I have to imagine that Mueller, when he interviews people, he interviews them knowing that the information will get out, or just assuming it'll get out, just so that he has all of his bases covered.
Yeah. It's so hard to say right now.
I know, and hindsight is 20/20. You know.
Vote, guys, get out, vote.
I'm not sure, but anyway, interesting discussion. Good thing to think about. So if you have any ideas, hit us up on Twitter at Mueller She Wrote. I'd like to hear them. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Mueller She Wrote. Your feedback is our most valuable tool, so please leave us a comment on Podbean, rate us on iTunes and Facebook, or help us make the podcast by visiting MuellerSheWrote.com and clicking subscribe. Patrons don't have to listen to ads like this one, and if you follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, you'll be automatically entered to win a PlayStation 4, because mentioning PlayStation tricks the algorithm on social media. We can't do this without you, so thank you so much for your support. All right, welcome back, you guys. It's time for the Fantasy Indictment League.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm adding Josh Raffel.
Okay.
To plea deals.
Yeah.
And I'm moving Hicks from innocent witness to plea deal. I don't think she's innocent anymore. I think she had to do with crafting that statement.
Exactly.
And yeah, so I don't know if Mueller can prove. Oh wait, no. So I'm moving Hicks to the plea deal and Raffle to plea deal. Corallo, I'm adding to the witness list. Maybe the plea deal list if Mueller can prove he committed a crime. That's the guy who quit after the Air Force One discussion went down. I think it would be awesome if I was thinking about Page the other day. He hasn't been charged with anything, and he seems like the dumbest guy. But wouldn't it be awesome if Page were a triple agent and the FISA applications to surveil him were all for show and he's been informing on Trump since he left the campaign?
Some people have been speculating that, right?
He's a PhD. You know, that's actually hard to get.
He's smart at something. We know that.
Unless it's like an honorary PhD from the University of Phoenix or something.
Yeah.
Do they do that?
They do everything.
But I don't know. It would be so crazy. There are now more Russians. I have now also added more Russians on the indictment fancy list because I think that the next indictment is going to be these Russians for hacking the DNC
more
and Podesta.
specific. Yep, going in more in depth. So Joseph Mifsud, he is one of those Russians, right? He's got to be. I mean, he's already in the first batch, but I think he's going to show up again.
He could be. Yeah. I'm not quite sure, but there's something that could mess it up though, which is why we have sabotage.
Oh.
You're so cute. Like, I've never done this.
I forget. Yeah.
You just placed it so well. I didn't see it coming that time.
That's good.
Out of nowhere. All right. So this week it was reported Ivanka could be in trouble and she's having her business dealings scrutinized by the Mueller team.
Right.
And I was immediately reminded of a story. Now, normally my sabotage is late breaking news, but this sabotage is late breaking. I remembered shit from a year ago.
Oh.
So, like I said, Mueller is scrutinizing Ivanka now, and I was immediately reminded of a story that came out a year ago about her oversight of a Trump property that was built in Azerbaijan. The New Yorker did a piece.
Where's that? Sorry.
It's Azerbaijan.
In the world.
It's over there, Jordan. The New Yorker did a piece on the hotel in Baku, which is the capital of Azerbaijan, as a possible conduit for shady business activity. The property may have enabled money laundering, may have enabled bribery and other corrupt activities that would violate the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, the FCPA. Mm-hmm. The U.S. passed this act in response to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard participating in drug trafficking and sponsoring terrorism abroad. And they might have had an actual hand in corruption at this hotel.
Okay.
So the act says that basically what this act says is that U.S. businesses can't claim ignorance when it comes to corruption. It's called the head in the sand loophole.
Love that.
Yeah, that's very good.
So it says that a company can't unknowingly benefit from corruption. So if you build a hotel in a corrupt place and there's corrupt shit going on and you benefit from it and you have no idea about it, you're still liable, legally liable.
Very good.
That's the FCPA. So,
the F is for foreign, you said?
It is Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. So Trump has been, no surprise here, openly critical of that law. I don't want to have to know things. I don't want to have to know anything.
Knowing things is hard.
I want to be able to do business in corrupt areas without being responsible.
Yeah, I legitimately have dementia. What happens then?
You plead insanity and step down. 25th Amendment. Get out. But anyway, the deal could have also violated U.S. sanctions against Iran. So this could be, and Ivanka oversaw the whole thing. There's pictures of her on her Instagram in her hard hat in Azerbaijan going, I'm here running the thing.
Oh my God.
So this deal...
Was it worth the likes, Ivanka?
7,203 likes. By the way, that's funny that you mentioned that.
Not worth it though.
I didn't write that down. It's literally off the top of my head right now.
That's amazing.
You'll see that, and double check me on that. I think it's 70.
I mean, it probably changed at this point.
I think it's 72 over 3. Well, it was a picture. It was a screen grab.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
At the time, and it could have violated sanctions against Iran, which is a big deal. Mm-hmm. But this could be what's been keeping Ivanka from getting her clearance, since she was in charge of that project until 2015 when it just fell apart.
Yeah.
It just died because of corruption.
Wow.
So
she's under investigation for that.
Yeah, so are we going to put her on the indictment list?
I'm going to say, yep.
Damn.
That's a good time
That's
for
the
that.
sabotage, and I think that she's either going to go plea deal or indictment. I mean...
Whoa.
It seems cold, but I feel like that's sexist on my part. I feel like it's just because it's Ivanka Trump, and I'm like, that seems harsh.
I mean, if Donald Trump is your dad, there's a little corruption in your heart.
Because she's never been explicitly an asshole, so unlike the rest of the lot, so it's a little bit more difficult to get on board with.
She learned from his mistakes. She's less explicit about her assholeness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like her too, though. I will say that. I feel like she's not
pretty.
as bad as him. Yeah. She's great. She's smart. And I think she could be a better person than him.
Woman. It's sad to lose a openly smart, strong woman.
Right. I don't know if she needs to go to jail to learn the lesson, but I do think she needs some kind of consequence.
I don't know, you guys. She's pretty basic with her beach waves and her Tommy Hilfiger. I can't even deal with it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Says your
Our
host.
standards have been lowered.
Says your host that's wearing Free People, Lululemon, and Uggs.
Yes.
Anyway.
Free people, come on.
I wonder if they donate to freeing people. All right, so
No, it'd be horrible if they didn't.
let's get to questions and comments. Right,
yeah.
like
We're just gonna be called liberation.
yeah.
And only allows child
Sweatshop,
workers
yeah.
to make our clothes.
That's
guess
Make
that's
America
hack.
Great Again is what that is.
Yeah, it is.
And I also think that maybe Trump could come out with a line of neckties called alleged mob ties. I think that would be good. All right, so we got questions and comments up the booty this week. I'm very excited. We're catching on.
Hey.
Jerry at JCDoulos1 tweeted, quote, Scott Dworkin once said, if Manafort flips, he predicts Trump will resign within 2 weeks. What do you think? That wouldn't stop Mueller's investigation, would it? If Manafort flips... I don't know. I think we'd be hard pressed to see Trump resign for anything.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know. That's tough.
That would be a game changer for sure.
Because if you resign the office, then you are susceptible to criminal prosecution.
Exactly. So
you can go to
wanna
jail.
prolong it. Yeah. So what it would do is it would put the heat on this investigation like no other thing has done. But it doesn't guarantee that Trump will give in.
I would stay in the White House because we don't know if you can indict a sitting president and put him in jail, but we do know that if he's not, he can go.
We've never had a president voted out by both the House and the Senate, right?
We've never had. So we've had
difficult.
a president. We've had presidents impeached, but they
only one resigned.
One resigned and one stayed.
Wow. Trump wouldn't leave. I don't think so. No matter what, he'll stay as long as he can.
I think so too. Yeah.
And I think also I'm very invested in this idea that Manafort is honestly just running from Putin at this point, or trying to keep himself safe from Putin.
Yeah.
Got questions coming up.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
Hold on.
Yeah, because Putin's a crazy fuck.
He is. He's a madman. At Elon Guido,
we might die.
Like, I just like Elon Guido. That's like the Mexican Elon Musk.
Oh yeah.
Or the Italian. Excuse me, the Italian. Like, remember Father Guido Sarducci? No, you don't. You guys are in your 20s. Quote: There has been a flurry of news recently. Any chance this means the timetable for the investigation is going to end sooner than midterm elections, or does this mean it will take longer than expected? Normally, an investigation of this type takes 18 months.
Yeah.
Gosh, your guess is as good as mine. I don't think that all this stuff would be leaking right now if he weren't close to getting all the evidence he needs, but putting together cases and indictments can take a while. And then we also have the trials. The Manafort trial is the first trial for this whole thing, and it doesn't even start till September.
And he's ready for it, though, so we'll note that. He is ready.
So I think, he's ready to go. But I think what would matter here is what is your definition of ending this investigation?
Right.
Is it indicting Trump? Is it Trump leaving? Is it all the trials are done and wrapped up?
I'd say any of those things would, to me, seem like the beginning of the end. Yeah.
Well, but when is it over?
Yeah, I honestly think at the point that Mueller has thoroughly investigated every lead that he has deemed legitimate and whatever conclusions he comes to, that's when I would be...
So not including the trials necessarily, but just the presentation of
definitely the trials as well.
And I don't know what word presentation is, but I just said it. So
definitely
trials
as well.
Everything's over. People are sentenced.
All of his proceedings are done.
That's going to be end of 2019.
Wow.
I think. We're going to go for a while. And at least I hope so, because, we need advertisers.
We got job security,
Oh, that's the most terrible.
What are we going to do when this is done? Oh, God.
That's the most terrible reason for at all to do any of this. This is not why I do this.
Fiction.
I hope you guys know that this is not why why I do this. All right, but seriously, I know what we're going to do. We're going to continue justice in politics when we're done with this. It'll still be Mueller, she wrote.
Yeah, that's true. This is America after all.
It'll still be Mueller, she wrote, but I want to continue on with justice in politics. I think it's a really worthwhile cause. So.
Definitely.
This is a big moment in our podcast. Yeah. Just said.
Join me, won't you, at the end of 2019?
Yeah.
Seth Taylor asked, it's at Seth_Taylor asked, is anybody going to get that Russian girl in Thailand?
I hope so, please.
He actually said, is anyone going to vet that Russian girl in Thailand? But I don't know if that was a typo or if he meant, are they going to vet her credibility?
Dude, that's a brilliant typo.
Absolutely, yeah. Both make sense.
Yeah. I kind of hope so.
Get or vet?
Either one, yeah.
I think they get her and vet her.
Yeah.
I hope, because I personally, again, I said if I was Mueller, but I'm never even going to ever be close to that guy. But if I were, I would be like, she says she has audio and video. It's worth a check. I'm gonna see what I can do to bring her over here. If I can't, I tried.
Right.
If I can, I'm gonna see what her proffer is, and I can offer her a deal if it's worthwhile, or I can send her back to Russia if she played me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Hannah at Stop the Old Woman asked, it's Stop THT Old Woman.
Okay.
Asked if Trump is distancing himself from Ivanka and Jared because Mueller is circling Jared.
Well, he did say try to stay in there as long as you can, right?
And with hope out the door, who's left to cover up?
Exactly. I think he wants to keep as whoever he can that he trusts close to him, which would not, like you said, just be Ivanka and Jared now. But I mean, I think he secretly hates Jared. I think that's pretty obvious.
It's hard to tell. Because he told Kelly to get rid of him, and then he told them, don't listen to Kelly.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those situations where it's truly impossible to determine what he's thinking, which is most of the time, whether it's gun legislation or DACA or budget or anything. None of us know, and it's been said by top senators on both sides of the aisle, we have no idea what he wants. And
exactly.
We have no clear guidance from the White House. And I just think this is another one of those situations.
Yeah, you don't have a feeling in your gut.
In my gut, I think he'll probably get rid of Kelly and let Jared stay.
That would be crazy.
I also heard on NPR that he has the ability to essentially just, I don't know, pardon isn't the right word, but just overlook the fact that he's not allowed to look at that and then just
it's his
show
decision.
It to him.
He can keep Jared there. He can show Jared that
he can show whatever he wants.
Wow.
He can show me the presidential daily brief if he wants to.
Yeah.
Sadly, I am not a Russian sex worker.
Yeah. One day.
Would I be here doing this if I was? Maybe. You never know. But I could.
Who are you?
I could work for free people.
Who is AG really?
At Mad Scientist Pod. This is another podcast who follows us. I like these guys a lot.
Nice.
They want to know what's going on. They just want to know what's going on. No, what's going to happen to all the Republicans that back Trump if this thing goes badly for Trump? Will the Republicans stay in power? Jordan, you have an answer.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I got really excited. I was thinking it was going to be. I snapped and put my hand up.
I love it.
Yeah. I thought that she was going to say just Republican base, not actual Republican elected officials. So
she means the politicians.
Yeah,
what do
the
you
actual
think? What do you
politicians. Well, if it was the base, I was going to say, I think like AG brought up earlier, it's going to take you just can't flip people sometimes.
Not that easily.
Because
Trump has said one correct thing in his tenure as a campaign person and as president. He said, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and my followers wouldn't care.
Wow.
And that is
I remember him saying that.
That is the one correct thing he's said.
Oh, God.
He knows what's up.
Well, and this is what I think is more important, too, is even, like, the people that Trump and his cabinet members are beholden to just domestically, regardless of our foreign, Russian contacts, is those people were beholden to these other organizations before.
Exactly.
So the same Republicans.
Well, yeah.
I'm essentially just saying that I think the lobbying organizations that exist right now that have had control over the GOP for decades and decades are going to continue to, and that element of it isn't going to change based on what happens with the investigation.
But I think what the Republicans that are in power right now will do is, first of all, lose that power. I think that the midterm elections is going to be, and this isn't bragging, because every first midterm the party in power loses power.
Yeah, Obama experienced that.
But I think that, every president pretty much has. But I think that this is going to be a record-breaking shift.
Yeah?
We have almost 12 times as many people running for for Democratic seats. But anyway, what I think is going to happen with these Republicans is is like Lindsey Graham and Chuck Grassley and all these guys are going to be like, when Mueller comes out with what he comes out with, they're going to be like, I had no idea. Get rid of him now.
Yeah, most likely.
Oh, and they'll need a fainting couch, and they'll clutch their pearls.
But I believe I want to believe the people will not buy it. I think it's pretty clear right now that there is no person in the House GOP that is speaking up and calling Trump out for his crap now. So in a year...
Mueller is untouchable.
Yeah, I think so.
Mueller isn't the news saying these things are happening. Mueller is Mueller.
Yeah.
He was appointed by
Bush, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Obama offered him an additional 2 years, and it took an act of Congress to extend his tenure.
Yeah.
Okay. And Congress voted 100 to nothing. The Senate voted 100 to nothing to extend him because he is so
sexy,
good.
So what's the big deal now?
And that was a Republican Congress.
Yeah. I wonder what is making them so.
So I think that because they have to back the president, because the president is putting the screws to them, and until something big enough comes out that they can stand behind and go, I'm on their side now.
It hasn't happened yet.
They don't have it.
Oh God, just fucking sheeps.
We need that PP tape now.
All right. Speaking of that, there's a question coming up soon about that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that is funny.
Katinka,
from a long time ago.
Katinka LJW 90631 asked, "Do you think Manafort is fighting the charges because he's more afraid of Russian thugs coming after him, polonium poisoning him, for example, more than he fears jail time?" Yes. To the end. He's not. I don't think he's going to flip. If he flips, that's incredible. If he flips, he's offered some sort of Mifsud, kind of disappearing act,
invincibility or something.
That where he'll have so much crazy
an
witness
underground
protection.
basement that he's happy with. To live in forever.
All right. So she also asked if we think Mueller purposefully leaks these selected stories to pressure certain people. And yes, not only do I think he leaks them to pressure certain people, I think he leaks them to send messages like,
absolutely,
Mr. Trump, the Russians did meddle.
Did do this,
or whatever. These are, I think he doesn't have to release any of these indictments.
Yeah.
So when he does, it has a reason behind it.
Yeah. I would like to believe he's not actively leaking things with that in mind, more so just being like, I'm going to be more lax on this one.
Oh, like, go ahead and release it if you want to.
Do with it what you will, but I don't know the
just
process.
One guy. He's got a team of people that are just as, invested in
There's a legit way to do that. You can put a gag order on anyone that you interview and say you're not allowed to talk to the press.
Or Congress.
You cannot put a gag order on those people.
Right. Either way, you're making a statement.
I don't know about that. I don't know about the Congress thing. But my point about the leaks is leaking to the press.
Yeah.
It's conscious.
Mueller can say you aren't allowed.
Yeah.
He can gag you.
Yeah.
Or I'm just not gagging you. Just want to let you know you're not under any sort of order to not talk about this to the press. That's the legal way to do it. I think everything's on purpose. Kevin Plants wants to know when Mueller finalizes everything, will there be a congressional showdown or just handcuff city? I don't think there'll be handcuff city.
Yeah, as nice as that would be.
I'm not sure there'll be a congressional showdown. Like I said, I actually think that if Mueller comes out with enough substantial evidence, that will give Republicans in Congress the out that they need to defy Trump and say, I never wanted to elect this guy. Thank God. I really think that that's going to be like the big sigh of relief in the room. That's why when Mueller was appointed, all the Republicans in Congress were like, yes, I support this. Yeah.
Because at that point, what are you even fighting for?
No.
It wouldn't even make any sense to support him then.
Exactly.
No, and at this point, he's toxic if he supports your campaign. So it's not like you're trying to get reelected having him use you. Janelle, 5 Hampton 5, at 5 Hampton 5.
Yeah.
She says, quote, doubtless there are cameras throughout Trump Tower. Is it naive to think that they've been ordered to maintain them? Who, if anyone, is entitled to view or seize them? The meeting with Veselnitskaya and where they all went after was surely recorded. Yes, and yes. Mueller can subpoena those. And the really interesting thing is if anyone tries to destroy that evidence or it's made not available, you could be charged with misprision of covering up a felony, a known felony, or obstruction of justice by witness tampering or evidence tampering. So that would be great if they did that. So he either has the tapes or he's got an extra charge on everybody who got rid of them. Don J. Shithole asked, if it's found the NRA knowingly took Russian money for the 2016 election, does this open everyone involved to a RICO case?
Oh, yeah. Armando was asking about this, too.
RICO, you have to have 2 felonies going on. So there would have to be bribery and something else like money laundering.
Okay.
So, yes,
well, might.
It could happen.
Yeah, it's likely. I think so.
It depends on what happens, really. At Science versus Trump says, do you think Hope is cooperating? The fact she answered no questions reminds me of when Bannon answered no questions because of the interviews he was doing with Mueller. Is that why she resigned? I don't know if it's why she resigned, but I do think personally, and this is just a theory, that they are gagged and they're not allowed to. They've been told by Mueller, don't answer Congress questions. I'll give you immunity.
Very nice.
You'll be fine. At POSUTTRUMP, Posut Trump asked, who will be indicted next? When? And what will the charges be? It'll be the Russians. It'll be campaign fraud. It'll be this Computer Act, and it'll be conspiracy against the United States.
Nice.
At Apfliger, APFLIGER, says, please explain straight up what the fuck a P-tape is. It never occurred to me you guys don't know what the P-tape is. Basically, when Russia was in Trump, kind of. When Trump was in Russia in 2013, he stayed at the Ritz, Carlton, and there's cameras in the rooms. Russia always puts cameras in every hotel room that they have, and apparently he had some prostitutes in that room, and they peed on him and peed on the bed because he wanted them to pee on the bed that Obama slept in. That's the P-tape.
Which, I mean, honestly, it's funny that he would even hide that because he said he's too much of a germaphobe. But I'm like, that is relatable to like half of America. So if you just came out with that and didn't run for presidency, that would be great.
Selective germaphobe. If a prostitute's peeing on you, all bets are off.
Yeah.
At me, I am...
Because it's like... Sorry. But the P-tapes being released don't even really mean anything other than just like a hilarious...
He's human.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny.
At Mel MCB23, 23 is my favorite number, good job, said, quote, Hope Hicks kept a diary. Could Mueller subpoena it? He probably already has it, honestly. If not, I would think he could get it. I mean... She could be guilty and facing charges of obstruction of justice because of her work on covering up the Trump Tower meeting. So Mueller likely has leverage to force cooperation.
Yeah.
That's why I put her on the plea deal from the innocent witness.
Exactly.
Yeah. At Miami Nice, 57, asked if Mueller could use the fact that the NSA chief testified that can Mueller use the fact that the NSA chief testified that Donald Trump has not instructed them to deter or retaliate against Russia for continued attacks? I don't think so. I think not imposing sanctions and not doing anything about Russia, it could be criminal negligence, but I don't think it goes toward any sort of a I don't think it goes toward obstruction.
Unfortunately.
You're not obstructing, you're not impeding, you're just letting.
But we might have new laws after this. Hopefully that would make it so.
At /me wants to know, where in the world is Rudy Giuliani? Where in the world is Rudy Giuliani?
I forget this name. Who is Rudy Giuliani again?
No. He was running for president in like 2008, I think.
New York governor during 9/11. Law firm guy, just a dick.
Super tough on security.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the guy who did the stop and frisk stuff in New York.
Oh, so we don't need him anyways. Got it. But yeah, where is he?
No, I don't know. He's been missing. He's been MIA. Like there hasn't been any stories on him. So
wait, what office does he hold right now?
None.
Okay, nice.
But he did work at the law firm that Vanderswan worked at during the whitewashing report of the Timoshenko jailing for Yanukovych that Manafort and Gates put together where they had that 2013 meeting with Rohrabacher and the three Europeans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My God, how did I just do that?
Yeah,
dude, your brain's like an encyclopedia for Mueller.
That's the name I was trying to. Yeah,
Rohrabacher. There you go.
Just put you on display.
I don't know where he is. I really don't. I'm
interested.
interested now. So yeah, thanks for bringing him up. Where did he go?
Yeah, because him and like Rick Perry, I feel are kindred spirits, sort of. In like
they were on the dais running for president in 2016 against Trump.
Oh, okay.
I think Rudy Giuliani was up there. I don't know. There were like 16 people. It's hard to remember. All I know is they all.
Herman Kahn was there.
None of them believe in none of them believe in evolution. That's all I know. Amanda Flieger says, quote, obsessed, binge listening these episodes and feeling so informed. Thank you. You're amazing ladies. Frank Dembowski says, the most informative podcast that ever existed anywhere.
Oh,
I love these women.
Oh, God.
That's sweet.
Saifala Mehdi says, this page was meant for my heart.
Oh, my
Thank you. I love you.
Holy shit.
Well,
this is so sweet.
Well, we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I've been AG.
I'm Jaleesa Johnson.
I'm Jordan Coburn.
And this is Mueller, She Wrote. Mueller, She Wrote is produced and engineered by AG with editing and mixing by Jaleesa Johnson. Our digital media director and subscriber manager is Jordan Coburn. Fact-checking and research by AG with support from Jaleesa Johnson and Jordan Coburn. Our web design and creative is by Joelle Reeder with Moxie Design Studios, and our website is MuellerSheWrote.com.